Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Lutz, Safety and Claims Manager for Washington Farm Bureau, and thank you for attending our webinar today on machine guarding. And we like doing these Focus Fridays to where it's about a 15-minute webinar, so it takes up limited amounts of time, but give you enough information that maybe pique your interest or give you enough information that you can apply it to the workplace. If it piques your interest and you need more help, please be sure and contact one of us. You'll see our contact names at the end of the webinar. So let's get going. So for the month of April, Labor and Industries is doing a focus. And Labor and Industries is obviously the Washington State Department of Labor and Industries that does your workers' comp. They do your insurance. They also do claims when there's an injured worker, but they also have a division called DOSH, Division of Occupational Safety and Health. That is the state OSHA, and they regulate workplace safety. And so they're doing a focus this month on machine guarding. So we thought it pertinent that this would be a good time to add this in. What's a focus mean? Well, that means that there's been enough injuries in the past probably year that they're saying we need to do a focus on this. And they may have even gone to the point where they've looked at their data and said that it happened more frequently in the springtime. So here we are. We know in agriculture that machine guarding is an issue from time to time because machinery and equipment gets used and guards get broken, PTO guards specifically. And we're going to talk briefly about that. But, machine related injuries, they're 100% preventable. Sometimes people will bypass guards. Sometimes people will take guards off to mess with things and not do lockout tagout. Those are parts where it's still 100% preventable. And we need to have some safety measures in place that everyone follows, including owner operators, and then implementing those and make sure that it protects workers, that it prevents equipment malfunction, and it maintains that productivity. So as we go through this, check these next bullet points and see if you have these elements in place. It's not just PTOs. Power takeoff, in Spanish they call it toma de fuerza. I like that. It's the force of the shaft that runs the equipment and machinery. But just know that all industries use machines, and that includes offices too. There's times that there's machine guarding in offices. Take for instance an electrical wall outlet, 110 outlet, and the outlet doesn't have the protective guard over the top of it and allows potential exposure for the side screws that carry the current. Is that a guard? Yes, it's a missing guard. So in an office, you could look at that and say, "Oh my gosh, well, there's a missing guard there." But it's just an outlet and it's buried behind the desk. But if someone gets their hand in there and they're plugging something in or unplugging it, there's potential to have that exposure. So it can occur in more than just everybody thinks of PTOs, but it's more than just PTOs. Incidentally, on a 110, 120 volt outlet, the heart runs on 60 cycles and uses electrical impulses to stimulate the heart to pump it. Guess what 110, 120 volts runs on? 60 cycles. So if someone has a heart condition, they would come into contact with 110 or 120. People say, oh, it just bites you. You just tingles a little bit, scares you, you jump away. Right. But if you've got a heart condition, it could cause heart failure. It could cause a different rhythm in the heart. And that's a reason to have a guard in place. Um, the machines that have motion and force and temperature, other energy sources that could help you, they really need to have guards in place. If there's guards in place, and I mentioned briefly the lockout tagout part, someone's going to be taking something apart, make sure that it's isolated, that it's locked out, that it's shut down, there's no potential for stored energy to be released, and there's no potential for active energy to be released and injure someone. Don't bypass guards. Don't take guards off unless you're using a lockout tagout system, and then have some sort of periodic follow up on that for inspections. And remember, training of employees, documented training of employees is important. So let's talk about some operational and training elements. Um, you know, just remember that everybody needs to learn how to use the machines that they're going to operate before they operate them. Employees also need to be able to have that ability to say, no, I don't want to operate that machine because I think it's dangerous. And then in that training, you can either show them why it's not dangerous and they're protected with guards, systems, etc. Or maybe they're right. Maybe it does need to be uh, taken out of service. So give that training to everyone before they start operating machinery and equipment. Safeguards, prevent those injuries and catastrophic events. Never bypass them. That's something that you as the employer need to know. That's something as you, the manager, need to know. That's something that you as the supervisor need to know. But it's ineffective unless the employee knows it too. So that training and information given to them to where they know you cannot bypass a guard. Use lockout tagout. Always turn off and lock the machinery before any maintenance. Doing a monthly walk around and do inspections and having people report hazards. Power takeoffs, chains and sprockets on balers and different kinds of moving machinery, moving stock that you use in the field. Many of those have guards in place, and occasionally those guards will get broken, they'll get knocked off. Maybe the guard is partially there and needs to have repairs done to it to protect people. Just remember that the eyes and ears of the company are those people that are actually doing the operation. So have some sort of inspection process where people can report, do a monthly walk around, check for hazards, for proper guarding, and then have a maintenance program in place to make sure that those are taken care of. Safe work practices, can prevent those injuries and illnesses. Training, monthly safety meetings, documentation of all of those, retraining, job changes a little bit. Follow up with some safe work practices and demonstrate those. If we tell someone, hey, this is the protective gear you have to wear, and then we do the job without the protective gear, we're falling into a trap that allows people to say, well, it's not important for you. It's not important for me either. So wear that protective gear, replace it as it needs it. And then finally remind people that they should speak up. Everyone has that right to work in a safe workplace. If they're concerned that there's a problem with machine guarding, for instance, then they need to be able to speak up and report and say, hey, I can't use that piece of machinery. Some of the things you can do in an inspection is you can ask where, who, and why. That unexpected startup with unguarded blades and gears and sprockets and PTO. Those are just a few of the hazards associated with machinery, and that machinery can cause those serious injuries. If they're not handled well or have proper training and safety procedures in place. Engineering is a guard, and engineering helps protect people from rotating parts, pinch points, nip points, hazards where there's a faceplate on 110, 120 volt outlet. That's a engineering guard. That's a guard that air engineering control. That's a guard that keeps that from having exposure. Again, make sure that employees are reporting those conditions, that there could be lack of guarding. Don't let them use equipment, machinery. Give them the right, give them the power to say, I can't use that. And then need to follow up on that. You'll need to coach people, direct them, because some people are going to say, well, I don't want to do that job, so I'm just going to say that it's hazardous. Well, that's not the condition. If the condition is hazardous, fix it. Otherwise, give them some good training, proper follow-up with it, and then document it. Just document those issues. Always remember that there are sometimes non-routine tasks. Those non-routine tasks need to be considered when there might be a machine guarding issue. Ask those questions: where, who, why. So it can be as simple as, adding a protected guard, updating a procedure, messing with your training program. Just make sure that those employees know that, hey, there's machinery here. We need to operate it safely. We need to have that system that's in place to allow people to operate that machinery in a safe manner with guards in place. That's a pretty quick one this time. Any questions, feedback, information needed? Drop something in the chat. We can get you information. I believe on these webinars now, when it's finished, it will email you the link and you'll be able to pull this up, get information on it. Pause here for a minute, see if there's any response.
And you can use the Q&A if you have any questions. There is a machine safety safety meeting in the chat to download.
And I neglected to add our contact slide in this, Dominique, so apologize for that.
And then next week is claims 101 or claims best practices, sorry. Claims best practices next week, so.
So if all else fails and you don't, and there's machine guarding issues and someone gets injured and you end up with a claim, join us next week and you can find out the best practices to manage those claims. The problem with machine guarding is that many times those injuries are really severe. And we want to avoid those life-changing injuries. If I get a cut on my finger, get some stitches, go to the doctor treats me, get stitches, I come back to work, a couple days of modified or light duty. I go right back to work after that. Everything's normal. That doesn't change my life. But if I cut my finger clear off, that's a life-changing event. And those are the ones we want to avoid. Proper machine guarding, proper inspection can avoid those.
All right, well, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.